The Japanese Film Festival 2024 is now upon us. Bahir and I think that this is definitely one of the most exciting things in the Malaysian cinematic calendar, and we look forward to it every single year. It's running from September 12th to October 20th. That's across multiple locations in the Klang Valley, Penang, Johor Bahru, Kuching, and Kota Kinabalu. And man, I think this year's lineup is one of the strongest yet.
We always say that every year, and it's always true.
We always do, and it's always true. On this episode of the Goggler Podcast, Bahir and I have picked 3 out of the many, many movies that are screening at JFF 2024. We've picked 3 each of the ones that we are most excited to watch. Now, we're leaving out Godzilla, Godzilla Minus One, and Akira. Yes, Godzilla, the original 1950s Godzilla, Godzilla Minus One, and Akira, the legendary anime, are all coming to the big screen. Something Malaysians have never, ever seen in local cinemas. It's our first opportunity to be watching these movies on the big screen. We're leaving that out because that's a given. We think you should go and buy tickets for that because those 3 movies are going to be exceptional and experiences in themselves.
As much as I agree with you, I also want to say, how cool is it? But we're going to be watching Akira on the big screen. And how cool is it that we're going to be watching the first ever Godzilla on the big screen? I'm so excited.
And that we're going to do a marathon of that first Godzilla and Godzilla Minus One.
Just crazy.
It's so exciting. It's very, very cool. But yes, the lineup is fantastic. Now, if you want to look at the lineup, you can go to the GFC webpage or the Japan Foundation webpage. On the GFC webpage, just click Film Festivals, Japanese Film Festival 2024, and movie lineup, and you'll find everything that's showing, and then you can buy tickets. On the Japan Foundation page, it's right there on the front page. It's a big banner. Just click it, and you have a whole list of all the movies that are showing. But Bahir and I have picked 3 of the movies that we're most excited to watch. Now, we haven't seen these yet, so we can't actually review it, but we're going to tell you about it because we're going to watch it in cinemas when they come out. I think we should take turns, Bahir.
Okay.
You want to go first? What is your first choice?
My first choice is Let's Go Karaoke.
That is also on my list, but I have a backup choice, but you take Let's Go Karaoke.
There's something about the idea of a Yakuza approaching a 14-year-old boy and asking him to go to karaoke.
Yes.
Again, we haven't seen it. However, just that as a premise sounds fantastic.
Also, because he has to go karaoke because he needs singing lessons to avoid losing in his gang's karaoke contest and then facing punishment for it.
Come on. That just sounds fantastic.
And of course, I'm assuming, as it tends to happen in these movies or in these kinds of movies, an unlikely friendship is forged.
A friendship blossoms.
Heartwarming friendship between a Yakuza and a 14-year-old boy.
Not any 14-year-old boy. He's the leader of his school's choir club.
Of course he is.
Of course he is. Yeah, sounds great.
My first choice is a movie called 1 Second Ahead, 1 Second Behind. It also sounds very, very interesting. It centers around a character by the name of Hajime who works at the post office. He is described as being 1 second faster than everyone else. And that, of course, causes a lot of problems in his life, but something that he gets away with by virtue of being incredibly handsome. But what happens is he meets a street musician one day and falls in love with her singing voice, organizes a date, only to wake up and discover that an entire day is missing from his life. And then he tries to piece together what happens, and the only way to do that is by way of someone called Reika, who is his opposite. She is a slow tempo college student who comes to the post office every day to buy a single stamp. I love the premise. The premise is fantastic. It's a remake of a Taiwanese movie called My Missing Valentine, but the Japanese version gender swaps the protagonist. I think in the Taiwanese movie, the lead was female. Here, it's male. And this just looks like one of those great, fantastical rom-coms.
Why is it that Hollywood can never do a rom-com with a premise like this?
It's rooted in storytelling philosophy, right?
Yeah.
Like if you've learned that the only way to tell stories is by way of the 3-act structure, then you know that certain things have to happen on certain pages of your script. And I think a lot of the time they're bound by those rules. But Japanese storytelling technique is very, very different. There can be entire movies where very little conflict actually happens and yet it works. And I think it just comes with practice of telling those sorts of stories that maybe Hollywood doesn't have. Because
Yeah.
Hollywood could tell a story like this, but then suddenly there's some weird time traveling element, someone gets murdered, someone gets cancer because they're like, oh, it's not dramatic enough. We need something to go into the third act with.
I think that's the key word, right? I think American film language demands and requires dramatic things to happen.
Yeah.
Even if it's a romantic comedy, something dramatic has to happen. They have to fight so that they can overcome it and get back together, or someone has to die so that there's heartbreak. They have to do something,
Yeah.
which I feel is unnecessary.
No, I agree.
My next choice is a little maybe close to home. It's called Masked Hearts. It's about a young up and coming filmmaker who has trouble with her producer and has to essentially pull together a ragtag team of her estranged family members to help her finish this dream of hers. From the descriptions and the trailers I've seen, this feels more like a family drama, but I like that it's a family drama told through the lens of a profession, a difficult profession. It's not just about a family drama. You know what I mean? There is a new entry point to this story that I am looking forward to experiencing.
My next choice is called Mum, Is That You? I like the premise of this. It looks a lot of fun. I seem to have picked a lot of heartwarming stories, but I think that's the kind of mood I'm in and that's what I'm looking for. But this one settles around a human resource manager who is seriously burnt out and decides to go back to his childhood home and visit his mother. When he gets there, however, he is shocked to discover that his mother has been completely transformed and no longer is the matronly woman he once knew. She's fashionable, she's cool, and she also happens to be very much in love with someone. And so, what you have is this feel good, intergenerational family comedy set in modern Japan. And it's something that I'm really looking forward to because I love stories like this. Also, because of the unique cultural context in which it's set. So I think Mom, Is That You is something that I'm going to be enjoying.
The director of Mom, Is That You is Yamada Yoji, and this is his 90th film.
That's right. It's his 90th movie.
Lordy,
That's insane.
calm down, will you please? But also, pull yourself together, Steven Spielberg and James Cameron.
I know. What is this now? One movie every 5 years? Please, come on.
Loser.
You'll be 450 by the time you finish your 90th movie.
My final choice is something that's going around internationally quite a bit, and it's called A Samurai in Time. This feels like also a comedy, which I'm looking forward to, but a time traveling samurai comedy. Even that sounds great. However, the twist here is that not only is it a samurai from the Edo period who's been transported to current time, but he is then made to be what the Japanese call a kirera yaku, which is a swordsman whose job is to die on camera spectacularly, right? So how does this samurai who is all about honor and justice and all that, how does he reconcile his existence with being just a guy that dies over and over again on camera?
So, A Samurai in Time is directed by Junichi Yasuda. And apparently, from what I've read, Junichi Yasuda spent all of his money
Yes.
making this movie. Like he had no money in his bank account by the time he finished this movie.
Also, I think, wasn't there something about he had to take over the family business of a rice farmer and then decided that being a rice farmer wasn't working for him anymore. So he went to go and make a movie. He's the director, the producer, the writer, the cinematographer, the editor.
Yes, he did everything on this film. But also, it is a one of a kind, true passion project. And
Yeah.
so it's definitely worth checking out for that reason alone. My final choice is a thriller called Matched. And this is a dating app thriller, which sounds pretty cool. So there is a wedding planner, Rinka. She reluctantly joins a dating app on the urging of her colleagues, and she meets her match. What begins as an innocent meeting begins to take a pretty rotten turn. And unbeknownst to her, The person she matched with is a suspect in a murder case that targets users of the same dating app. Dang, dang, dang. Another twist, all of the victims were her wedding clients. Dang, dang,
What? Chang,
dang.
chang, chang. That sounds great.
It
Yeah,
sounds
I've
great,
got
yeah.
tickets for that too.
Yeah, no, so did I. I got tickets for that as well. With all of the stuff that we've selected, it's just a sampling of what's available. There's family drama, there's comedy, there's thriller, there's a samurai movie, there's Godzilla and Akira, but there's other stuff as well. And I think it crosses so many different genres that this year's lineup has something for everyone.
I will say, disappointingly, small knock. No documentaries this year.
Oh, yes, no documentary this year.
Yeah, I'm a bit slightly disappointing, but yeah, it's okay.
Nah, I mean, I'm okay with that just because the rest of the lineup looks so fantastic. And I'm very excited to watch all of these movies. So you might see us there at Mid Valley or Wanutama if you live in the Klang Valley. Once again, the festival is going around the country, 12th to 18th September, Klang Valley. And then on consecutive weekends, 19th to the 22nd of September in Penang, 26th to 29th of September in JB, 10th to 13th October in Kuching, and 17th to 20th October in Kota Kinabalu. Log on to the GSC website. I believe, depending on where you are, on which state you're in, tickets go on sale a week before the date it's supposed to be on in your part of the world. So, buy your tickets, check it out. We will definitely see you at the cinema. Don't forget, Japanese Film Festival 2024, 12th September to 20th October. Let us know what movies you're really excited about watching. You can reach out on all of our social media feeds, Goggler MY. You can also email us on podcast@goggler.my or send us a WhatsApp on the Goggler hotline 012-524-5208. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.